karangamai ra. Mai te tipua, mai te tawito, mai te pii au ki te marama. Uakina, e ngā atua, e ngā tupuna, ngā tātou tēnei kaupapa nui ki rungi a mātou. Tomu mai ki runga, ki raro, ki mua, ki muri, nō reira karangamai, karangamai, karangamai ra.
Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, ke mā kina ki uta, ke mā tara ki tai, ke hia ke ana, he hata kura, he teo, he huka, he hauhu, hei, mauri ora. Cease the winds from the west, cease the winds from the south. Let it blow over the land and let it blow over the ocean. Let it bring with it a touch of warmth, a breath of fresh air, and a promise of a glorious beginning for your show, Ben. Nō reira, koina ke te kupu tuatahi. Nō reira, e honore kloria ki te atua, e maunga rongo ki runga rai te whenua, e maunga rongo ki runga i a tātou katoa, ko tai mai i tēnei ahi. Glory to God in heaven above and peace on earth and goodwill to each and every one of us here this afternoon. Nō reira, ni rā hau e tuake mō ngā iwi e toru, ana kai o rātau a kōrero ana ko mauria mai, mā tōku kraua nei a Jack e kawe ake haere i te rahi o ngā kōrero. Engari, mai ngā iwi e toru, a ne rā taku mihi kia koutou. From the three iwi of this area, I acknowledge you all for being here in our land which we have outside there. Nō reira, ne rā taku mihi nui, ko tēnei kaupapa nui, ko kōrero hau kia Ben, ka ki mai ke haune kaore he rere ke tanga o te tangata me te taiao. There's no difference between us and the environment. So, Ben, i tautoko ana hau ki wō kōrero. Nō reira, ane rā e mihi nui anō kia koutou, tēnā rā koe e guru, tō mātou koro matu o tēnei o tātou rohe, koutou katoa ko tai mai, mēnā he koro matua mai te rohe, te iwi nei ko tai mai o wainuri a mātou, ane rā taku mihi kia koutou katoa. Nō reira, ka tira te kōrero, me huri rauna kia tātou ko tai mai tēnei rangi. I've acknowledged our mayor over there, Guru, and I've acknowledged any other mayor that is here tonight, and each and every one of you that has arrived to support and tautoko this occasion. Nō reira, to our kuia here, June, she called you and she called to the gods to say that, to open the doors for us for this occasion here tonight, and to be in front of us, behind us, above us, and to guide us, because we only are servants to our gods. So we hope that, Ben, that they will come and they'll answer our prayers for you. So nō reira, huri rauna kia tātou, tēnā koutou, a tēnā rā tātou katoa. Now I'm going to do a waiata, and all I want you to do is follow after me. And if you, so my turn, your turn, eh? It's easy. I go, e toru ngā mea, you say, toru ngā mea. A handsome man. No, ready? E toru ngā mea, you just repeat after me. E toru ngā mea.
E toru ngā mea.
Ngā mea nunui.
Ngā mea nunui.
E ki ana.
E ki ana.
Ngā tūpuna.
Ngā tūpuna.
Whakapono.
Whakapono.
Tūmanako.
Tūmanako.
Ko te menui.
Ko te menui.
We all say this last bit together. Ko te aroha.
Ko te aroha.
There are three important things in the world today that sometimes we tend to forget. It's faith, hope, and most important of all is love. Love is what's brought us here this afternoon. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā koutou katoa. Now hand it over to you, Guru.
Boom Shankar Surya Bhagavan, the sun that shines. Bhumi entae, Mother Earth that responds with an abundance of life. Tihe Mauriora, Engara Iwi, Engamana, Engario, Tenara Koto, Tena Koto, Tena Koto Katoa. To the First Nation people, Tiatiawaki Whakarongotai, I greet you once, I greet you twice, I greet you 3 times. And to the special Manuhiri who are here, Andrew Tomlin Fisher, an ambassador of sustainable garden design. We have a very strong gardening community in this district. And so we know your name well, and we welcome you. And of course, who doesn't know Ruth Cleanpasti? I mean, he's a member of this Indian family. Because I've seen him for decades in the corner of my living room. He didn't pay any rent, but every week he was there. My children know him. My wife is a great fan of him. So welcome, sir. Mark and Ben Hall, what a vision. When you came and told us what you were going to do, I think majority of the councillors around the table, barring perhaps one, don't ask me the name, were gobsmacked in terms of the vision that you had. And I forgot to say, Ruth, it's really good to have you here, particularly since I've read recently of the Armageddon, that the global failure, destruction of the insect biodiversity, we don't realize that this underpins the sustainability of the agricultural industry and the economy. These are dangerous times. But having said that, I think that is why it's very important that we have people like Mark and Ben Hoyle who can see what is needed and be able to market the ideas for sustainability. And I can't think of any other place than the Kapiti Coast. We've got 60 hectares down there of open canvas. And this is beside a fantastic river. And let me tell you about this river. Is the ecological corridor. The vision is from the mountains to the sea. And at the sea, you have the Kapiti Island Marine Reserve and the Kapiti Island Nature Reserve. It's a fantastic vision. And this vision of yours fits into that like a glove. And to tell you something more, on Wednesday, with the blessing of the Minister of Conservation, we are having a big hui up at Otahanga of all the stakeholders around concerned with the river to talk about how the Maori concept is, I am the river and the river is me. Not many people realize that when you turn the tap on in Waikanai, Raumeti, and when you drink the water, you are actually drinking the river. So that's the concept of the river is me and I am the river. So this is a wonderful, and for this vision to be, sustainable vision, to be next to this fantastic other vision, this is big picture stuff. So council hasn't got a lot of money, but we have put in $4 million over the next few years to help the development of Otoro Park. And we need a signature event to carry that. And I think this is it. So I look forward to watching this unfold. Thank you and congratulations for everybody and the sponsors who put the shoulder to the wheel. Norera, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Te aroha, te wakapono, me te rangi mahi e tātou e te aroha. Wakapono, me te rangi mari e tātou e. With love and faith, and it makes us all as one. Tūturu whakamaua kia tīna,
Tīna.
hau e hui e, tae ki.
Kia ora. Welcome to the Heart of Horticulture. Join us on the journey to FFFLAIR. Well, I feel like Superman, all these fast changes. Far out, Russell Sprout. Well, first of all, no mai, haere mai. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Heart of Horticulture. I'd first like to begin by acknowledging our manu whenua, Te Atiawa, ki whakarongatai, Koro Don, Uncle Jack and Nanny June. Your karanga, your mihi whakatau, you're welcome. It's a great honour to be here, and certainly it's been a fun journey so far getting to this point here. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what this whole FFLAIR business is about, because a lot of people keep asking me, is it a show, and is it the environment? What is this thing all about? And once I've done that, we're going to actually hear from Jack and what it means for local iwi to have an event like this, and certainly a movement like this. We'll hear from Andrew Fisher-Tomlin, who's our international ambassador for this event. And then at the very end, we're going to hear from the rascal himself, the bug man, as we all affectionately know him, or just the bug, Rud Climbpast. So as I was saying, you know, there's a lot of, I guess, guessing about what this is all about, and certainly it is going to be a great event, don't get me wrong. But there's so much more to FFLAIR than just an event. I mean, I'm so passionate about our horticultural industry. I've been in it for 20 years. There's some brilliant people that I meet every day. It's incredibly diverse. I'm a garden designer by trade when I'm not standing here in front of you. But there are great people that combine every day to feed, to shelter, to support our communities the length and breadth of New Zealand. You know, horticulture is such the backbone of this country. I mean, if you've ever wanted to make others understand what happens over the nursery or the farm or the orchard gate, or perhaps you're excited about all things gardening like I am, then FFLAIR is the place where the heart of horticulture will be beating. It's a new and groundbreaking national event. It's about inspiring a new generation, which is really important. It's about creativity and the sustainable way we produce food and we live with plants, from backyards and open spaces to the tiny microorganisms and evolving practices that make up and guide our modern ecosystems. FFLAIR will be the place where the public of New Zealand can get up close and personal with horticulture, shaking hands across the Growers' Gate and gaining a new perspective and appreciation for what makes this industry tick. Behind all of that, growers, businesses can promote and connect, collaborate and do business with one another. To use the metaphor I've used before, if honeybees were the very best ideas and people behind them, then FFLAIR would be the field of flowers where all these things are pollinated, incubated and harvested to a vast array of industry and the general public alike. But standing together at the start line, it's important for you to know FFLAIR is more than just a garden show. It's a carefully planted seed designed to nurture the growth in our people and our places by leaving a living legacy in education and in the environment. It's about engaging and inspiring our current and next generation of rangatahi to become lovers of plants, of our fauna and our whenua, and along the journey to develop them as future kaitiaki. the guardians of our natural environment. We like to think the legacy of FFLAIR won't be buildings or monuments, but rather a legacy of fresh ideas and the people behind them, of trees and of parks and of beautiful open spaces for all generations to come. By simply coming to FFLAIR, visitors will be supporting new investment in public parks. The Mayor just spoke about 60 hectares sitting out there of beautiful space, and it is a beautiful space that we can invest in. And it will positively enhance and support people in our industry alongside the communities and places that we live in. The FFLAIR Foundation is being established as a governing body that engages representatives from across the horticultural sector, from growers and food producers to iwi and community leaders, to ensure that the foundation delivers on key goals and objectives. So what are those key goals and objectives? Well, there are many, and they're all focused really around education and the environment. But I guess I want to touch on some in a little bit more detail, some of the real core things that we're going to be looking at. Urban green space is really important to me. I think we don't have enough of it. I'd love to see more of it, and I'd like to think we can look after it a lot better. And for the most part, New Zealand enjoys an international reputation for environmental awareness. You know, that clean, green image which brings a multitude of travellers to our shores every year to go gaga at our landscape. While our national parks and reserves remain at the pinnacle of natural beauty, we want to lift the experience of urban green space for communities along with the many visitors that come to our shores. We need to demonstrate New Zealand as being at the forefront of open space development, not just a tool to offset pollution or development, but rather as environmental leaders for those abroad to learn from. One of the primary goals of FFLAIR is to establish 20% more urban green space globally in 20 years through national and international programs that support horticulture. We don't just want to maintain what public green space we have. We want to expand the boundaries of urban gardens, whether it be the modest home garden and residential street or wide open park spaces. And what's most exciting in this worldwide network of professionals and hobbyists is that hosting of FFLAIR in Aotearoa will be the first branch to sprout this movement. Primary industry diversification is another key area that we're really passionate about. Here in New Zealand, we have a proud and rich history of primary production on the land. From growing grape forests and crops through to meat, wool and dairy, we enjoy an enviable reputation as producers of high quality primary products. We are essentially the giant food bowl of the South Pacific that feeds the world, and currently New Zealand horticulture alone is our fourth largest export industry. And it has a goal of becoming a 10 billion export industry by 2020, which is not that far away when you think about it. And of course, there are many pathways to achieve this target. One of its biggest issues of the day is the environmental impact intensive farming has on New Zealand. It's in our newspapers almost on the daily. The solutions are complex. Farmers, like other primary producers, are people of the land, and so often inheriting generational practices in order to carve out a living. In order to bring about some effective change, we need to provide more viable and attractive plans for farmers and landowners to diversify, one that doesn't insist on hanging up the swan dry, but rather demonstrates and supports alternative, environmentally sustainable primary production. That's a big mouthful. In simple terms, we need more options, many, many more options. We see horticulture as playing a key role in the agricultural land use, the evolution and process that amplifies its own key growth targets. It's beginning to happen already, but we want to support and accelerate this change. Put plainly, you can't do what you don't know. And if you've only been exposed to one crop or one herd all your life, then change don't come easy. We need to create an environment where those that hold the knowledge from one industry can share with those in another. A place where those that hold the land resource can connect with the brains trust of every horticultural sector so that they can get the best environmental, social and economic outcomes for that whenua. Change won't come without a carrot, and maybe, just maybe, some of the solution is indeed carrots, or grapes, or kiwi fruit, or forestry. We need to develop stronger partnerships between horticulture, agriculture and central government to unlock potential and develop sound economic synergies. Who knows? Perhaps in the future, phrases such as share milking will be as common as share harvesting. We anticipate FLAIR becoming an important vector for government and their affiliated partners, and to meet at the coalface of industry, a place to share strategies and engage directly with the public alongside potential stakeholders. It's an opportunity to seek out and advance the latest technologies while opening the door to an untapped resource of landowners naturally found within the FLAIR demographic. There are so many great initiatives, groups and organisations doing amazing things every day, and it's important that an event such as this shines a light on those gems while actively seeking out and discovering the new ones. In Māoridom, there is a saying, ko au, ko te taio, ko au. I am the environment, and the environment is me. We are all part of something else, and we must nurture and protect it as it has always done us. Ooh, pen down. Today's launch marks the beginning of the 12-month countdown to the inaugural event here in Kapiti on the 27th of February 2020. It's just another step in a very long road, and now is the time to really roll up our sleeves as the manure meets the shovel, so to speak. In this room, we have people representing from right across the spectrum: food producers, plant producers, agriculture, education providers, industry boards, commercial businesses. Why? Because we want you to be in the game, not on the sideline. We believe solutions are best tackled when everyone is engaged in the game plan. The answers to the challenges that lay ahead are here in this room, and they're also in the kura kaupapa down the road, and they're in the farms over the hill. We are excited in the opportunity to unify and support the good things that are already happening, and we are honoured to nurture and reveal the amazing concepts and solutions that are just around the corner. Come connect with us. Come tell us your story and how we can work together to achieve these amazing outcomes. Because at the end of the day, collaboration is so much better than competition. So come join us on this journey, and please stay in touch. Ngā mihi nui. Thank you.
Kia ora tātou, Jack Rikiana, one of the iwi people here today. This vision of Ben, this FLAIR thing, when he came and told me about it, I said, so, weird, eh? Right. But anyway, what I've just showed, I said to Andrew, where's your speech? He said, in my pocket. I looked at Ben's bloody book and I went, here's mine, just two little paper towels. Anyway, so I said to him, so what do you want to do? He said, I need to involve the iwis, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Should we go to the iwi? So I took him to the trust, and like most things, when you go to somebody with a new idea, they look at you like, the bugmen look at me now like, hey, what's that? So they didn't say yes, they didn't say no. They said, oh, well, that's a yes, Ben, let's go away. We've got a yes for them. And then he started bringing it together. And then the wheels started getting in motion, and we started doing as you saw, that video. And as we worked on another project, Ben and I, we kept talking about this FFLAIR thing and how we're going to get it together. We should follow this pattern, should do that. All his ideas, and I was just supporting him, because when someone's got an idea, if you just keep giving him the little bits to keep him going, it won't go away. And it hasn't gone away with him today. And so a year from now, or thereabouts, we're going to have this garden show. It will be amazing. So what made me think I should say something is because growing up, I grew up during the Matariki era, when you planted your potatoes in the spring and you harvest them in the summer, you put them down in a storehouse in the autumn and you ate them in the winter. And that was the way things were done in those early years and the way the gardens were protected. And even in those days we used to rotate the crops so the ground didn't get sour. We only had two fertilisers. One was blood and bone and the other one was sheep manure. So there was nothing else in that. So that's all the fertiliser we used in those early days. So thinking what Ben was talking to me about in my ear, thinking what Dad used to tell me, my grandfather used to tell me about gardening, I thought, must be a different way. And this is it, a different way. So getting from that early days to what I'm doing standing here now, then I thought, I was talking to, or one of my bosses actually said to me, you need to have an event in Paraparaumu. And I said, righto, Bryce, we'll get a bloody event for you. So here we are. And this is going to be an event. Like everything in New Zealand, there's an event. Like next week in Invercargill is the Oyster Festival, right? Runs for a week. It's only one day we're eating oysters, but it's a whole week. Everyone knows it's Oyster March is Oyster Week. Go down there. The Food Festival on the West Coast, Wild Food Festival on the West Coast. That's always on as well. So they have a food festival. The Canterbury doing the Carnival Week, where they have races for a whole week. It's racehorses there. So everywhere has their own little niche. To make Kapiti grow, we've got to have an event. And this is going to be it. Is any media here? That's why it's a successful project. None of them are here. Because there's no bad things going on here. It's all good stuff. And they don't want to report good stuff. And they never do. But I said, well, the girls here, if we had a plane crash out here, they'd be here like, they'd be here. So the trouble is, media and apathy of the people outside the door don't get off their bum unless something really good happens to make them jerky. We've got a year to turn their heads around. We've got a year to make them understand that FFLAIR and the idea that Andrew and Ben have got, and what's your brother's name? Matt. He looks like him. You know, they're all the same. But yeah. So they got a good idea, and we've got to foster their idea. All of us here have got to help them. And how does the business house help? Because with this comes 30,000 people visiting Paraparaumu for 4 days, and they're the ones that are going to share in the coffee bars and in the transport systems, and share in the local industry around here. They're the ones going to fly it on an aeroplane, a couple of flights a day. And these are the people going to use Kapiti. And eventually we'll get it bigger and bigger to the point where we're internationally renowned. Ben said we're going to go around the world with this thing eventually. Well, let's get it started in Kapiti. Let's keep it in New Zealand first. Let's establish the idea here now and keep it here now, because once you get it and somebody else takes it off you, like this guy from England might take it back with him, but I've just patented it, so he can't do that. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to keep our ideas here, grow them, strengthen them, and so everybody enjoys it. But we've got to, as Kapiti people, make something worthwhile. Hey, Guru, where are you? Yeah. So we've got to make it so that we all want to come to Kapiti this time of the year for FFLAIR, for the whole week, and look at the garden show and the vegetables. So from the iwi perspective, I thank you all for coming, because we, like you, eat the vegetables. We, like you, had some land, cost some land. We, like you, need to make the place grow. We need to support each other and make it grow, because our kids coming behind us, they need something to aspire to as well. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Ben, for inviting me. And I'll leave you up to Mr. Brexit.
Thank you very much for that.
I have to say thank you very much for the welcome since I've been here, actually. I'm fortunate that I travel the world through horticulture. It's quite an amazing thing when I look back on it. I never expected to travel around all these countries just through horticulture. And I know Ben said it's not a competition, but you know, if anyone's going to win the warm welcome, it's going to be New Zealand. It's the only place I know that within the first minute of meeting a stranger, we become friends because they've made comment about my haircut. Wherever I travel these days, I find that we tend to all share the same challenges, things like climate change, engaging with not just young people, but all generations in things like nature and gardens, where our food comes from, and how we design and build sustainable landscapes and communities. And this is all driven by, in most cases, an understanding of what we're doing to the planet. And I know not everyone believes it, but most of us do believe that we're having an increasingly bad impact on the planet. And we're all trying to find better solutions as populations grow and diversify. In Europe, we've got very old traditions of gardens, but old traditions are really hard to shake off. It's a bit like moving a big oil tanker in Wellington Harbour. It's going to take a long time to turn it around. And I find it's actually the new ideas that join up the dots and bring people together and change the way we do things. Ben and his team are doing something new, exciting and different here. Don't think that they're doing the same thing that we do at the Chelsea Flower Show and all those sorts of things. This is new. They're not chained to these old ideas that have got us to where we are today. They're trying something new, and it is about the future. And indeed, I think that FFFLAIR could be a real game changer for horticulture, agriculture and nature. That these new ideas may just become a model for engagement through new solutions and new ideas and options, as Ben says, and build that better future that we all strive for, not just in New Zealand, but as a model for other places as well. So congratulations on your launch today, Ben and Matt and the team. We're all really excited to see where you're going with this, and I'm sure I will be back soon. Thank you.
It's your turn, man.
Really?
Do you want to stick?
That's right. Yeah. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Ruth Kleinposter. So, have you noticed how most of this stupid media start a question with, so, what do you think about, so, you know what I'm talking about? That's why I start my slides with so. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the question I have is, what are we going to do on this planet? Especially here, right here, in the Kapiti Coast. Thank you, by the way, for inviting me, because I've been quite keen on this stuff, as you know. You know that, don't you? That's my problem, isn't it? There you go. So, if our world would look like this, if our world looks like this, with indeed climate disruption, particulates that stuff up any Chinese wedding in Beijing, with water on the planet, if you take all the water, look at that picture, if you take all the water off the planet and you put it into one bowl, I'm talking about all the ice caps, the rivers, the lakes, the sea, the oceans, everything, the clouds, and you take it all and you put it in one bowl, that's how much water there is on the planet. And if I click one more time, only those of you with a good optometrist will see the little ball next door. And that is all the fresh water on the planet. Just saying. That's all we got to play with. Just saying. We got a lot of rubbish. So if our world looks like this, and our human populations keep on growing the way they are, with all the dire consequences, you'll find that our biodiversity at some stage goes down the gurgler. And that's what we see as well.
Somebody made this little comment about the insects going in decline. And that's an interesting thing to harp back to the media. Last week, we were told from all sorts of wonderful studies that 85% of the insects have died in Germany in certain studies, and 98% of some of the ground beetles in Puerto Rico, and oh, woe is me. And what does the media do? 2 days later, it's no longer any news. We have a department that looks after OSH. For God's sake, OSH. The combs in Christchurch. The biggest OSH story on the planet is the one that we are not on a great path here. Just saying. Just saying. That's the point. So the gig is that we do have to find a way, and the good thing is that we actually know what to do. I'll give you a few examples. If I'm talking about climate, and I'm not talking about global warming, or I'm talking about climate disruption, there's a fabulous study out called Drawdown. Call it the top 100 solutions of what we can do via mathematics to not mitigate, but to turn climate change around. Drawdown is where the graph that goes up at the moment with carbon dioxide goes down. That point is the point of drawdown. Number one, refrigeration. Well, you can read it on that thing. And if you then look at all the little segments on that pie chart that have to do with botany, that have to do with our if you like, métier, our work, you'll find that is a heck of a lot. Carbon sequestration is part of any plant here. And that is really important. So we're talking about the right sort of thing when you're talking about climate disruption. And of course, there's other bits and pieces as well. There's, energy, technology, and all sorts of stuff. But we also need to remember that on our environmentally troubled planet, which is what I call this, we have a lot of different things that are working for us. Politics is one. It works really well, I noticed. Economics works really well, too. We have a fabulous linear economy that takes from the future, makes it on today's system, sells it, and calls the revenue GDP, stealing it from the future. You know what I'm talking about? Whereas the circular economy is still something that we have in Europe, but not really in New Zealand yet. It's a really important thing. And the third thing, of course, is business. So politics, economics, and business. Those are some of the things. But also, this is part of how we treat animals, and hence, how we treat people. They all come to that same equation, if you like. Now, when we talk about people and the way forward and a vision, there's a lot of people here that I've met before. It's actually interesting how the same people turn up everywhere. There's some good media here. Tony Morell is here from the media. Rachel Vaughan is here from the media. These are people that know this stuff already. Why? Because they're gardeners. I want to talk to you about that too. This is really important. Ben, of course, and his whānau is here too. We're part of that whole group. And then there's another little thing that I want to talk about, and that is called ecological literacy. And this is my picture of ecological literacy. And maybe I should warn here, the word sustainable is, in my view, used a little bit too much. If I ask you, how is your relationship with your partner? And you answer, sustainable. Then my response would be, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you with me? We are not carbon neutral. Nature isn't carbon neutral. Nature is carbon positive. We don't go on this world to do less bad with a down-sloping line. We're trying to do more good. Are you seeing how we have to change our view of what we're doing here with FLAIR and everything else? This is really important. Give you one example of what ecological or nature literacy means. Just one example, and I know you know all this. You take a tree, and you go through everything that this tree does in terms of ecological services or ecosystem services and biodiversity, how it all works together. There's a whole list of things that trees and forests do, including giving us a benign climate. This is what I call eco-literacy. Now, I'd like to know, where do you find this in the curriculum? This is a really important story too, because we have just literally, and this is important, we've just literally raised a whole generation of kids in complete absence of contact with nature. There's an enormous disconnect going on in schools and in polytechnics and places like that. Right? You're getting it. I know you are, because this is what this is about. And of course, it's about all sorts of things, including time and eyeballs on devices. That's a good one. So, what is it that these 3- and 4-year-olds see on their iPads? They see images of Mad Max and Blade Runner with no urban greenery at all. It's always dark, it's always raining, it's oppressive, there's violence. And my question is this the place where you want to live? Did Martin Luther King say, "I've got a friggin' nightmare"? Because this is what we show them all the time. And don't get me started on that. Please don't. That is a totally different gig again. So this is what our reality is. I'm looking at it from a totally communication viewpoint, but also from an education viewpoint. But I must say, we are, if you like, a very young species on this planet. We arrived on this planet as Homo sapiens 100,000 years ago, and we came into an already, if you like, organized and very cool and very clever system, which we called an ecosystem. There we are. So we are a very young species, and we behave like toddlers playing with matches. We have no idea about the operations manual of planet Earth for the simple reason that we haven't really been here long enough. So that is my, if you like, excuse for the way we treat our planet, but it isn't very good. Just thought I'd mention that. This is really important. But there is one thing that we have over any other creature, any other life form on this planet. And that is the following thing. You hear that from iwi, you hear that from everybody. And it is the fact that we are the only storytelling species on the planet. And to me, that gives hope. Because that means we've got something to say, and we can do it with flair, literally. That's really important. See? So, I've worked out that we lack this nature literacy, this connection to the ecological system in which we are living. And we started many years ago training kids, and because they're a waste of time, really, I started training teachers because that scales it up. Going outside, not in classrooms, teaching the whole curriculum outside. And you can do it in all sorts of ways. Via Enviro schools, via the Cape to City model, Kids Restore the Kepler model, whatever Kids Restore New Zealand model, you can do it any way you like. And Guru mentioned just something else. He said to me, I've got a budget of $500,000 for plants in this place here? There you go. Poor bugger. And he hasn't got enough. Imagine if we could use this model of creating nature-literate teachers and using the local polytechnic. Don't go to a university, go to a polytechnic where you learn real shit. And teach people how to take cuttings of Guru's trees, the ones you like, and how to propagate them into real plants that you get for, I'm Dutch, plants for free. Free is an important word in the Dutch lexicon, right? Here's the point. If you can get this through the education system and you can get this community spirit of, you don't have to go over the top with cuttings, but you can take cuttings from your local gardens and your local plants and actually start building your own leafy suburbs. You are using the very educational system that I'm here, if you like, promoting. And he can use his money for something totally different. I just thought that was just a little idea. Because after all, you can look at flax seeds, and you've got numeracy right there. You open one of those pods, and about 98 seeds fall out. So if you then say, how many pods do I have on this stem? Well, there's 4 times 90, and so on and so forth. What is the chance at secondary school of having, with a 5% confidence interval, more than 1,000 seeds on this part of the flax and so on and so forth. You can do numeracy, you can do literacy, you can do social studies, you can do chemistry, you can do everything you like outside. And once you do that, once you train your teachers, guess what happens? You're getting nature literate teachers that will raise cohort after cohort of nature literate kids. There is a vision for FLAIR just like that. Does that make sense? I think it does, because that's how it should be. We've been doing this for years. We've even gone so far for the last 10 years with the Mazda Foundation and Project Crimson of building outdoor classrooms, outdoor learning spaces for teachers to work in. The kids and the teachers design it. We come on a Saturday, put it all together, and we train the teachers how to use it. An outdoor classroom is a heck of a lot cheaper than a prefab, I'll tell you that. I talked to Chris Hipkins about that. He thought it was a great idea. There was another budgetary savings that he could run with. And when we've got these outdoor learning spaces built, I give the kids little bamboo tubes that they can hang up in the trees. And guess what? They become little condominiums for their local species of tree weta, which you can play with, you can learn about, and you can have some fun with. This is what this is going to be about. This is just a little bit of my future vision for FLAIR. We have to celebrate life, literally, and we have to find our future with FLAIR, literally. What do you reckon? Shall we do it? Thank you.
Well, your legs are probably all going numb. I'd like to say that concludes our speeches. So please stay on if you'd like to mingle and nibble and have a drink, and hopefully I'll catch up with each and every one of you. Enjoy the afternoon. Thank you for coming.